Well, if these are not scriptural readings for our times, I don't know what is. Hosea preached to the northern kingdom of Israel, calling out, pay attention, you've lost your way. You're substituting so many things for God, but especially your own pride, your own arrogance, your neglect of what is important. But the people did not listen. And 20 years from Hosea's prophecies, Israel fell to the Assyrians, and Israel would not become a nation again for over 2,000 years. And in the gospel, we hear that Jesus brings the kingdom down to earth. God's love, God's plan becomes a realization, becomes tangible in this life, on this earth. He lives in the present to bring people into the kingdom now and to the future. He heals. He saw evil, he saw suffering, and he acts swiftly, immediately dispelling the evil so that this mute person could speak, this mute person could live. And in the scriptures, to be able to speak is one of the major aspects of what makes a human being in the image of God. For in the beginning was the Word, and for those who follow God, all our words are meant to be an extension, an expression of the divine. Oh, how we abuse that, don't we? Now, Hosea and Jesus, who has pity for us and all our wayward ways, could not more identify the Black Lives Matter movement than it does today. The importance of words, the importance of listening, the importance of attending to what's going on now. And this is extremely important, that we have to, like Jesus, have pity on the crowds. We have to pay attention, we have to listen, and we mustn't become defensive. Too often, people say Black Lives Matter, and they're retorted with this really ridiculous defense. Well, all lives matter. Yes, it's true. However, all lives in these United States didn't have to be escorted into public schools in the land of the free, with armed military personnel in order to guarantee their rights. Not all people had to forbear that indignity, and so much more. But let us bring us even more close to home. What makes us angry? The anger that we express in our homes, in the workplace, in our neighborhood and communities, at town meetings. What makes any human being angry? It's usually always we're afraid. We're afraid that our dignity is being taken away from us. We're afraid that we're not respected. We're angry because we've been shut out. Our feelings, our thoughts don't matter. We've been dismissed. We've been oppressed. We feel put upon. That's what makes every person angry. And when we think of how well or how poorly we've addressed anger in our homes, with the family members whom we say we love, it needs to give us pause. It needs to give us a sense of pity for all who are angry and upset. And we know this, again, from our personal experience in our homes. When we ignore the anger and we pay no attention or we get defensive, what do we get? Some of us get holes punched in the plaster walls of our homes. Some of us get doors kicked in. Some of us get plates thrown down on the floor. And I know this doesn't only happen in the movies. And we might say, well, not in my family, but I can assure you, if we look at our extended family, there's some plaster over some holes that have been in because of anger was not addressed. And when we got defensive with the anger, or ourselves were not honored by our anger to be listened to, we perpetuate the resentment, divorces ensue, and so many other things. What is the best antidote to anger personally is when we are calm and we say, what is the matter? What is the issue? Let me honor your feelings, and then when our feelings are addressed, that we care for you, we say to our loved ones. Your feelings count. God cares about what we're feeling. And then we can begin to address the issue at hand. And if we can't in our families, if we're wise, if we're holy, if we're really following Jesus, we seek help. We call outside facilitators to come and help us calm down, assure each other that we love one another. Again, because your feelings count, your feelings matter, even when I disagree with you, and then we're able to work out some solutions. This is the state we're in these days. And Jesus, who calls us to union with God and others, Jesus who insists that communion is the goal of our life, calls us to pity and calls us to a listening stance, not to be defensive, but to hear and to ponder. And our responsibility for communion is to then work together where all are equal, all angers are listened to and addressed, not getting caught up in the broken walls or doors or windows because they distract from the heart of what's really going on. If we're true followers of Jesus, we're called to union with God. We ask for pity and forgiveness for ourselves, and with not defensiveness but humility, we acknowledge our wrongs and we work towards communion. That's who we are. That's who we're called to be. Would you like to join me for communion today?